30 days. That's how long it took me to confirm what deep down I already knew. My wife wasn't just pushing me away, she was running a game, and I was the clueless player sitting at the table with no idea what the rules were. It all started 3 months ago when I picked up on little shifts in her phone behavior. She suddenly guarded it like it was classified. At dinner, it always sat face down. Bathroom breaks meant the phone went with her. At night, she even tucked it under her pillow. When I casually asked about it, she brushed me off with a laugh. "You're being paranoid," she said. But she couldn't look me in the eye. The rejections weren't random either. Every time I tried to connect with her in any intimate way, she had an excuse ready. Too tired from work. Early meeting the next day. Not feeling well. Yet, she had endless energy for everything else. Late girls' nights, marathon shopping trips, hours on social media. Somehow, I was always the one she didn't have time for. I've never been the kind of man to accuse without proof. So instead of confronting her on a hunch, I decided to really watch. Not obsessively logging things in a spreadsheet like some sad detective, but paying sharp attention. The kind of awareness that comes when you start to suspect the person you love is lying straight to your face. Day 1 landed on a Tuesday. She claimed she was too wiped out after yoga. Fair enough, except she spent the next 2 hours glued to her phone, giggling like a teenager. When I asked who she was texting, she said it was a friend planning their next girls' night. Strange how planning one outing required that much back and forth. By day 7, the pattern was clear. Every rejection was followed by her locking herself in the bathroom with her phone. 20 minutes later, she'd come back out in a chipper mood, like she'd been unburdened of something. Day 15 was the first undeniable lie. She said she had to work late and couldn't grab dinner. I decided to surprise her with takeout at the office. The security guard casually mentioned she'd left at 5:30. She rolled in at 10:30 that night, acting drained, claiming she barely had time to eat. That lie slid off her tongue so effortlessly it made me sick. I didn't call her out. I just sharpened my focus. Not stalking, not obsessing, just connecting dots I'd been too trusting to see before. Showers immediately after grocery shopping trips that produced no groceries. Texts during movies that brought a smile I hadn't seen directed at me in months. By day 20, it wasn't about tracking rejections anymore. It was about documenting an affair. The excuses weren't the problem, they were just camouflage. She wasn't tired. She wasn't stressed. She wasn't too busy. She was getting everything she wanted somewhere else. Those last 10 days were brutal. Sitting across from her at breakfast, listening to her talk about being so tired, while knowing she was up until midnight texting him. Watching her recoil from my touch like I was toxic, when someone else clearly wasn't. Day 30 was the tipping point. She claimed she was headed to her sister's for a quiet night. I kissed her goodbye, wished her fun, then drove by 2 hours later. Dark house. Empty driveway. Her sister was out of town, something she'd conveniently forgotten I knew. That was the night I decided. Day 31 wouldn't be about observations anymore. It would be about verdicts. I'd wasted enough time being the trusting husband who took her word at face value. Tomorrow, she was going to learn what happens when you mistake patience for weakness. For the first time in months, I slept with clarity. The man who believed her excuses was gone. The man waking up the next morning had 30 days of evidence and no tolerance left for games. She wanted to play with my emotions while keeping me as her safety net. She was about to find out even safety nets have a breaking point. Day 31 arrived like Judgment Day. I woke early, made coffee, and sat at the table calmer than I expected. This wasn't anger anymore. This was resolve. She came downstairs in her oversized sweater, the one she wore when she wanted to look harmless, grabbed her vanilla latte, and carried on like it was any other morning. Except it wasn't. Sleep well? I asked without looking up. Yeah, great. You? She chirped, with that fake cheer she'd been practicing. Actually, yes, I said. Best sleep I've had in weeks. I set my phone down and looked her in the eye. The peace in my voice rattled her. What do you mean? She asked carefully. I mean, I've figured some things out. About us. About you. About why you've been so distant. She laughed it off. Distant? You're imagining things again. That phrase, you're imagining things, was her go-to weapon. The gaslight she'd used every time I got too close to the truth. But not anymore. Am I? I asked, pulling her hidden spare phone charger from the drawer. Her face went pale. Funny thing about technology, I said. When you've had the same Apple ID for years, texts don't just vanish. They back up to the cloud. Sometimes they sync to other devices. Her coffee cup trembled in her hands. You went through my phone, she whispered. I didn't have to, I said. The messages came to me. I stood, letting the words sink in. Every text with him. Every photo. Every lie you told me while sneaking off to meet him. Silence. Denial flashed across her face. Then panic. Then calculation. She was scrambling for her next move, but I'd already memorized her playbook. "It's not what you think," she stammered. I actually laughed. "That's your opening? After 6 months of lies? After rejecting me night after night while sending him pictures in the lingerie I bought you?" She reached for me. "Please let me explain." "Explain what?" I snapped. "How you've been meeting him downtown at the Marriott every Tuesday while telling me you were working late. How you were texting him from our bed while I slept next to you. How you came home from his place and kissed me with the same mouth." Each word hit her like a blow. She cried, but I recognized those tears. They weren't guilt. They were panic at being caught. "You don't understand," she tried. "Things between us haven't been good." "Stop," I cut her off. "Don't you dare blame me for your choices. I didn't make you lie. I didn't make you create a dating profile. I didn't make you reject me 30 days straight while you gave yourself to him." Her tears dried fast. "Fine. I messed up. But we can fix this. I'll end it. We can do counseling." I shook my head. "There's no we anymore. You ended that the moment another man mattered more than your vows." She grew desperate, rattling off every cliché excuse in the cheater's handbook. I didn't bite. "You know what's funny?" I said, moving past her. "You wasted all that energy rejecting me, forgetting I'm not the kind of man who begs for what should be given freely. You played yourself." "Where are you going?" she asked, panic rising. "To get dressed," I said. "I've got a meeting with my lawyer in an hour." Her gasp told me reality finally hit. This wasn't a fight she could win with tears or manipulation. This was the end. And this time, I wasn't the fool at her table. I slipped my phone into my pocket and looked at her calmly. "You know what your problem is?" I said. "You honestly believe everyone else is just as blind as you assumed I was. You think you can lie your way past hard evidence. Pretend you're the victim after months of deception." She shifted gears instantly, her tone sharp. "I want half of everything. The house, the cars, your retirement, everything." I leaned back, unfazed. "Yeah, try wishing in one hand and see which fills up first. Drag it out if you want. Stretch this for years. Make it as expensive as possible. But remember, my lawyer runs $400 an hour. Yours will be close. Every month you stall bleeds us both, and the difference is I can afford it. You can't. Not with your paycheck, and certainly not without your boyfriend footing the bill." Her eyes narrowed. "What do you mean?" I didn't even look up from my laptop. "I mean he's married too, and his wife just received a little package of proof about his extracurriculars. I doubt he'll be bankrolling your legal battle when he's fighting for his own survival." The panic that washed across her face was priceless. "You didn't." I smirked. "Oh, I absolutely did. Turns out his wife's a family law attorney. Small world, huh?" She was thrilled to finally have confirmation of what she suspected. Her entire body seemed to collapse into the chair, her so-called safety net shredded in a single move. "You ruined his marriage too." "No, I didn't ruin anything. I gave the truth to someone who deserved to know it. Exactly what you should have done in ours. But instead, you chose lies." She sat in stunned silence, finally realizing that every scheme had been anticipated, every manipulation recorded, every lie cataloged. "This morning's offer is still on the table," I told her flatly. 60 hours left. After that, we do this the hard way. And trust me, the hard way hurts you far more than it hurts me." The next 2 days were like watching someone unravel in real time. She vanished most of Tuesday, probably scrambling with her now former lover, then returned that evening with a new act. "I've been talking to people," she declared while I sat watching Netflix. "People who care about me, who think you're being unreasonable." I paused the show. "And these people are?" "My family, my friends, the ones who know the real me, the real you." I almost laughed. "You mean the man who supported you for 8 years? Who never once raised his voice at you, even when you deserved it? That real me?" She fired back. "No, the controlling husband who spies on his wife and makes threats when he doesn't get his way." I stood up slowly. "So that's the story you're selling? That's your truth. It is. I smiled coldly. Funny, because I've got my own truth, and mine comes with evidence. Her confidence faltered, but she clung on. Well, my brother thinks you're out of line. He said if you were a real man, you'd fight for your marriage instead of running to lawyers. I raised an eyebrow. Your brother? The one divorced twice. For cheating? That's your relationship guru. He says men should handle this with forgiveness, with understanding, with maturity. I nodded thoughtfully. Did you tell him you've been sleeping with another married man for 6 months? Did you share the lies, the hotel bills, the lingerie photos you sent him? Or did you leave that part out? Her cheeks flamed. That's private. Private? You made it my business when you dragged it into our marriage. And you made it his business when you begged for his advice. So which is it? You want people involved, or not? Her tactics shifted again. Okay, I know I've made mistakes. Stop calling them mistakes. You don't accidentally install dating apps. You don't mistakenly sneak off to hotels. You didn't trip and fall into 6 months of lies. She finally snapped. Fine, I had an affair. But couples work through infidelity all the time. Some do, I said evenly. Couples where the cheater shows remorse. Couples where there's accountability. Not couples where the betrayer spends days trying to gaslight their way out of consequences. The tears started again. They didn't work. By Thursday morning, she went nuclear, cornering me in the bedroom. Her voice shook with fake fragility. I think I might be pregnant. I froze, staring at her through the mirror. Pregnant? I'm late, and with everything going on. When was your last period? I don't remember. I turned and faced her. You don't remember something that significant? She looked away. It's been stressful. I haven't tracked. We haven't touched each other in over 2 months. So unless this is the longest pregnancy in history, you're lying again. She scrambled, reaching for another angle. Well, maybe it could have been earlier. No, because I know the last time. 8 weeks ago. Which means if you're pregnant, it's not mine. Her whole lie disintegrated in front of me. I just thought, maybe if there was a chance of what? That I'd stay with you because you might be carrying someone else's kid? That's your play. People make mistakes. Stop. This isn't a mistake. This is a disgusting attempt to manipulate me with pregnancy. This time, the tears were real, not from guilt, but because she had run out of weapons. I don't know what else to do. Try honesty. Try owning your actions. Try accepting that your choices have consequences. I can't lose everything. You already did. The moment you chose him over us. That afternoon, I came home to find her sitting with a stranger. Who's this? I asked. This is David, a friend. He wanted to meet you. He stood, 6'3", posturing intimidation. So you're the husband. I am. And you are. Someone who thinks you're treating her badly. I smirked. Let me guess. You heard her side, rushed over to play hero. Did she mention the 6-month affair? The lies? The evidence? His expression cracked. She said, you two were just having problems. Right. She left out the part where she destroyed our marriage. Want to see the proof? Texts? Photos? Voice recordings? That's enough, she snapped. But David was curious. Recordings? I hit play. Her voice filled the room, mocking me, praising her boyfriend, bragging about how easy it was to deceive me. David's face twisted in disgust. You never told me any of this. It's complicated. No, he said, stepping back. It's really not. You lied to him. You lied to me. I'm done. He walked out, and she collapsed, finally out of schemes. The deadline is tomorrow at 5, I said. Sign or we go to war. Your choice. She glared with pure hatred. I hope you're happy. I'm not happy, I replied quietly. I'm sad that 8 years ended this way. But I'm relieved to finally know who I married. Someone who thinks manipulation is love, lies are strategy, and consequences are unfair. Someone I should have walked away from long ago. By Friday at 4:47 p.m., she signed. Not because she wanted to, but because her lawyer had explained reality in words even she couldn't twist. I wasn't there. I was closing a deal at work big enough to buy a new car. At 5:15, my lawyer called. It's done. No changes. No new demands. Her attorney told her fighting would only make it worse, especially once he heard about those recordings. 6 weeks later, the divorce was finalized. She moved out the next day. I didn't ask where, and I didn't care. The house felt lighter. I ate when I wanted. I watched whatever I pleased. And I slept without wondering who she was texting at midnight. 2 months later, I bumped into her sister at Target. She looked ashamed. "How are you?" she asked. "Better than ever," I said. She sighed. "I just want you to know, we're all disgusted with what she did. She tried painting you as the villain, but the truth came out." "And how's she doing?" Her sister hesitated. "Not well. The guy she left you for, his wife cleaned him out in their divorce. He's broke, bitter, and blames her for everything. Reality wasn't nearly as thrilling as the fantasy." I shook my head. "That's unfortunate. She keeps saying she made the biggest mistake of her life. She wants to reach out." I looked her sister dead in the eye. "Tell her not to. There's nothing left to say." Months later, she tried anyway. A long email full of apologies and pleas. I deleted it after the first paragraph. Her regret wasn't about me. It was about consequences. Half a year later, I heard she'd been fired. Something about inappropriate relationships at work. A pattern. A year after that, I was thriving. New promotion, new car, new life. I was dating someone who understood honesty isn't optional. The last time I saw her was in a coffee shop. She looked older, worn down. "Can we talk?" she asked. "No. There's nothing you could say that changes anything. I know I hurt you. You didn't just hurt me. You disrespected me, lied, manipulated. Every step of the way." She tried the old lines. Confusion, poor judgment. I shook my head. "You were sharp enough to cover your tracks. Sharp enough to lie every day. Sharp enough to manipulate even after you were caught." She broke down crying. "I lost everything because of my mistakes." "No, because of your choices. And because instead of owning them, you blamed everyone else." "Don't you miss us?" I stared for a long moment. I missed the woman I thought I married, but she never existed. What I don't miss is being lied to and taken for granted. I've changed. Maybe, but it's too late. You chose another man over our marriage. I chose better. I walked away, not angry anymore, just free. In those 30 days of exposing her lies, I learned something priceless, that I was worth more than excuses. That patience has